Let's go started.
In this lesson, we will be writing quadratic functions. We will be writing equations of quadratic functions. And we're going to start off using vertex form. So, if you take a look at the graph, you will notice that the vertex there is at 1, negative 2. So, if the vertex is 1, negative 2, and this is the vertex form, we're going to put, we remember that the vertex is h, k. So in this case, it is 1, negative 2. So everywhere we see our h, we're going to put in 1, and where we see our k, we're going to put in negative 2. So here, that will give us x minus 1 squared minus 2. Here's a variable here, a, that we need to solve for. That's why we need another point on the graph. Take a look at the graph. This other point is 3, 2. So we're going to use that point to be able to write this equation. So everywhere we see an x, we're going to put 3, and everywhere we see a y, we're going to put 2. So it's going to start off like this. 2 is equal to a 3 minus 1, quantity squared, 2 is equal to, 3 minus 1 is 2, and 2 squared is 4, so this becomes 4a minus 2. We add 2 to both sides, and we get 4 is equal to 4a, and therefore a is equal to 1. See what we're going to do with that. So here now that we know that a is equal to 1, we have enough information to go ahead and write it, the quadratic function. Here it is. Y is equal to, check out a. We don't put a 1 there. I mean, if you did, it wouldn't technically be wrong. But y is equal to 1 times the quantity x minus 2 squared minus 2. And we just wrote a quadratic given those points. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to write the quadratic function when we're given something different. This time we're going to be given the x-intercepts, or the zeros, or the solutions, or the roots, whatever you want to call it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and write it in intercept form. Here's intercept form, a times the quantity x minus p times the quantity x minus q. So we have negative 1. So we're going to put that in. And then we have 4, and we're going to put that in. So when we simplify that, we have x minus negative 1, which is x plus 1, and x minus 4. We still have our a that we're going to have to solve for. So we're going to look for the other point on the graph, which is 3, 2. So everywhere we see a y, we're going to put a what? A 2. We're going to solve for a, and everywhere we see an x, we're going to put a 3. So this becomes 3 plus 1, and this becomes 3 minus 4. Okay. So 3 plus 1 is 4, and 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So this becomes 2 is equal to a times 4 times negative 1. So this will simplify to 2 is equal to negative 4a. Once we simplify by negative 4, we'll find out that a is equal to negative 1/2. So now that we know that a is negative 1/2, we can use this to go ahead and write a quadratic function in intercept form. So here we go. Y is equal to negative 1/2, and in parentheses we'll have our x plus 1, and the second set of parentheses we'll have x minus 4. All right, moving right along. Okay, this one's a little bit different because we're not giving you intercept form. We're not giving you vertex form. We're just saying that this quadratic passes through these 3 points. So what are we supposed to do? Well, we're going to use our standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and we're going to set up a system, we're going to set up a system of 3 linear equations. So we're going to remember these points. And those points are, and you want to go ahead and write those down, -1, comma, -3, 0, comma, -4, and 2, comma, 6. So here we go. We're ready to get started. Taking the first point, and I'm going to go ahead and write that down over here. The first point was -1, comma, -3. And so what we did was, everywhere we see a y, we replaced it with -3. And then where we saw an x, we replaced it with -1. So once we simplify this, -1 squared is 1, so we got a. B times -1 is -b. So here is our equation right here. Next, on to our second point. And the second point was 0, comma, -4. Now think about this. If we put this in our standard form is y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Well, everywhere we see an x, we let it be 0, and everywhere we see a y, we let it be -4. So this is -4 is equal to 0 squared plus 0 plus c. And that is how we get -4 is equal to c. So we have 2 equations right now. Let's see what we can do with the third one. The point here that we were given was 2, comma, 6. So everywhere we see an x, we're going to replace it with the 2, and everywhere we see a y, we're going to replace it with a 6. That'll give us 6 is equal to 2 squared, 4, so that gives us 4a plus 2b plus c. So we have all of our equations, and we're ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the first equation, and we're going to remember that we solved for c, and got c was equal to -4. So we're going to go ahead and plug in -4 into the first equation, simplify it, and we get a minus b is equal to 1. Just because we got c is equal to -4. Will they all be this easy? No. Will we have to use some elimination or some substitution? Yes. However, we always start off like this. Equation 3, 4a plus 2b plus c equals 6. Again, it's going to be helpful to know the c is equal to -4. Keep in mind when you set these up, your main goal is to eliminate one of the variables. Try to get one of the variables by itself. Hopefully you can get a value like we did. If not, you're just going to have to eliminate, go back and plug it back in. All right, so once we simplify this, we get 4a plus 2b equals 10. So we're going to take these two, and we're going to figure out if we can eliminate something so that we can solve for another variable. So here's our first equation and our second equation right here. And we're going to be able to eliminate as long as we can multiply our first one by 2. And when we do, we're going to get rid of the b's. So we get 12, and a is equal to 2. So let's think about what we have now. We have a is equal to 2, and we have c is equal to -4. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and take this first equation up here, which is a minus b equals 1. And I'm going to plug in what I know. 2 minus b is equal to 1. Well, mental math. 2 minus what gives me 1? So b is equal to 1. Let's see what we're going to do with that b is equal to 1. Voila. We can write our equation. Y is equal to 2x squared plus x minus 4. All right, practice time. Here are some U-tries. You're going to write a quadratic function, and the graph have the given characteristics. This one, pay attention, is going through the vertex. Okay, so we'll use vertex form. Second one, again, going through the vertex. We'll use vertex form. Note that this one is giving us the intercept. This is not a coordinate point. This is the intercept. So you can get pause, work it out, come back, and check your answers, and they'll be waiting here for you. Here are your answers. How'd you do? Don't get stuck right here. The 2 is in the back. All you have to do is bring it to the front if you like. All right, let's take a look at the next set. Here you're given 3 points. Not intercept form, not vertex form, just 3 points that a quadratic function goes through. You're going to have to set up 3 linear systems, use 2, eliminate, and use that with the third equation to try to solve this. Do your best. Here are the answers. How did you do? All right, thanks for attending this session.